Hello team, this is episode 3 of the Kicking CASK podcast, and my name is Laura Hattersley, and I'm here to speak about all the research and all the information and newly published data about CASK. So we're going to start with a paper that came out just before Christmas, and this paper was from some therapists and scientists over in America who are associated with the Fralin Biomedical Research Institute. And they have been studying our children for quite some time, and this is actually the second paper that they have published. But this paper was on 20 of our children, and it looked at how a form of intensive therapy called acquire therapy impacts our children, and was determining whether it is actually beneficial for our children. So we have created a summary of their paper, which is now on our website. So you don't have to read the whole paper if you don't want to, but the link is there. But we have a really nice summary that you can find in various places on our website. It's one of our blogs at the moment, so it will come up on the homepage, but it can also be found in the recently published papers section and other places. So please take a look, and I'm certainly not going to go through the whole paper right now, but just to summarise and to give you a bit of my personal experience, what they found was from these 20 children undergoing, I think they all underwent like 4 weeks intensive therapy, which normally consisted of about 4 hours a day, 5 days a week. They found that all the children with a CASK gene disorder who were in this study, they all improved in their communication skills. That obviously doesn't mean they all learnt to talk, but they all got better at being able to interact with the environment and communicate to the therapist, for example. So they also, quite a few of them, improved their movement skills. So, as I said, read the summary. It will give you an idea. It's hard to describe the therapy. So the reason I feel confident to talk about it was because we actually went there in 2021 with my daughter, and we spent 5 weeks actually over in Virginia, and 4 weeks of that was for the therapy. And my daughter Sarah was actually incredible. She managed to do the 4 hours, I think, every single day of the five days a week. So she really got a good exposure to this particular therapy. I know with Sarah, they spent the first week really just trying to get her to engage with them and engage with the world, because when we went there, she was just in her own little world and not present. And we just got used to that and hadn't really noticed. But within a week, the difference in her was absolutely amazing. She was suddenly, I guess, back with us. We hadn't realised we'd lost her, but we had. And we suddenly had her back. And she was looking around more. She was engaging with toys. She would, by the end of it, she was looking at a toy and reaching and pressing it. So, she was completely aware of what was going on, and this was all because of the therapy. And also, as well as being aware, they were trying to get her to obviously do the reaching action. So that was like a physical aspect, because she needed to have better kind of trunk control in order to control her arms. So that was my experience. And as I said, there's a summary of the paper and there's a link to the actual paper, but it's definitely worth reading. And I know I've had some parents get in touch with me asking if there's any evidence to give to insurance companies, because some insurance companies are no longer wanting to provide intensive therapies and that kind of thing for children. So this could be a useful tool to show insurance companies, although the paper is just about a specific kind of therapy. But all the information is there, as I said, on our website. So the other thing I wanted to talk about is a counselling service that we are hoping to offer our UK families. We sent out a survey at the beginning of the month, and we've had quite a lot of responses, and it definitely shows that there's a need for mental health support within our UK community. So thank you to everybody who has responded and replied to those surveys. What we now have to decide is what kind of support we're able to provide. So the choices are, there's one-to-one counselling, or 2-to-1 if you want to do it with your spouse, and there is the option of group counselling sessions, and these would all be provided by an organisation called Rare Minds. So Rare Minds is they specialise in doing counselling for families with coping with rare diseases. So it's different to other counselling services. There's nothing else like this actually here in the UK. And I really think families will get a lot more out of this kind of service than from more of a generic one. So it's definitely worth considering, even if you kind of discounted counselling, maybe you'd had a bad experience in the past. So once we decided what we are able to fund, then we will obviously get in touch with all our families. So please make sure you're registered, because we do email families. We don't just rely on social media. So it's much better to have emails of all our families so that we can actually send out correct information, more detailed information. So that's very exciting, because that is a real need. And even though this is only for UK families, I'm sure everybody around the world can appreciate that really this is the kind of thing we all need. And by doing this first kind of, which they call a pilot study, it will just be it will be like a small number of families to then gather evidence that we can hopefully apply for external grants to then fund ongoing support. Because this is a dream, really. This is what we'd really like to be able to provide, is support for families next year and the year after, and just ongoing, and especially for newly diagnosed families, because I've had a few emails back from parents, and I feel the same, that I might not need counselling right now, but I certainly did when my child was first diagnosed, and I might in the future if my child starts to go downhill or some other difficulties. So it would just be really nice to have that service available ongoing, and just always available. So we obviously need more funding for that. So that's another thing. New year, if you can think of a fundraiser, that would be amazing. In the end, everything comes down to money, doesn't it? But once we get this pilot study started, we will then have evidence, and we can then apply for external funding, hopefully be successful. So that's where we're going with that, and that's where that stands at the moment. I need to say thank you to all the amazing families who sent beautiful pictures of their children and a Santa letter. It was so nice seeing all the children's faces in the lead up to Christmas, and just amazing that everybody was so engaged and people wanted to be involved. So thank you so much, and thank you to Awana, who's our amazing parent volunteer, who got all the information for us. So it's volunteers like this that just make life so much easier and means that we can just do so much more. So thank you. That was a really nice Christmas thing for us to do. Other thing is our newsletter just came out, so check your inbox. It has some of the information on that I've talked about here, but it's got some other things as well. It's got some links to the videos. So please have a look in your inbox. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe. You can do that on our website. And last not but least, is our Rare Disease Day campaign. So the CASK Coalition, which are the Australian, French, US and us, the UK members, who all work together, we have decided to have a specific campaign for Rare Disease Day this year, and it's called Get Ready, Stay Hopeful. And what's that about? That's basically saying we're getting really close to clinical trials and we need to be ready. So it could actually be this year that we get pharmaceutical companies involved in some of our drugs. I'm not saying it will definitely be, but it wouldn't be too much of a surprise if that happened. So the Get Ready, Stay Hopeful campaign is trying to get all of you parents to make sure that you're registered to RareX. This is our registry, which has all the information about our children. So it's got genetic reports on and patient-reported surveys, in our term, caregivers-reported surveys rather than the patients reporting it. So the more information we have and the more regular information we have and updates on how a child is doing, on their symptoms and other things like that, this is all absolutely crucial for getting drugs to our children. There's absolutely no point in us doing all this fundraising and funding all these scientists if drugs are never going to get to our children. And so this is now on us. So that's why it's up to us to get ready. And we have to stay hopeful because we're getting ready for something. We really are. This is going to happen. But it is on us, and it doesn't cost any money. It just costs a little bit of time. And I won't lie, signing up does take a little bit of time, but it will all be worth it if we get a treatment for our children. So please consider that, and you'll see lots more posts about that coming on. But thank you for listening. I hope everybody has a lovely day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.